and welcome here to TalkFCB, and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, where we are going to have full reaction to our opening win of the season up against Valencia and what we made of that game as a whole. But we've also got to talk plenty more today about what's going on in the background at the club. Lots of speculation surrounding Ilkay Gundogan and what I feel this means for us on a deeper level. There are conversations that need to be had about the club's planning. It is all coming up, so let's do it. But I want to start first of all, guys, with some very special super thanks shout-outs coming in here. This one on the match review last night. May this be the first win of many more wins to come in this season. Let's hope it's going to be a special one for all of us, and a great one here coming in. Can I shout out friends Nassa, Majad and Ali, who are all lifelong Barça fans and big fans of the channel. Thank you indeed, guys, to all of you for the fantastic support. I really appreciate that, and I'm sure we were all satisfied on Saturday to get off the mark, to get that first win of the season under our belts. And I will say, guys, look, it wasn't extraordinary from Barça here. It wasn't an absolutely mind-blowing performance, but I don't think any of us expected that. Realistically, away at Valencia, it's a really tough opening game. Looking at the squad that we had available, the players that we have absent right now, we did the best that we could, and I think Hansi Flick here does deserve credit for going into the game and ultimately going for it. I think even looking at the lineup there, to go actually with 4 attack-minded players away at Valencia, I think that already shows the kind of football we're going to see under Flick, the kind of mentality, the kind of approach that we're going to see. We are never going to sit back. We are never going to absorb pressure for any amount of time. It's going to be on the front foot. We're going to take chances. We're going to take risks. Sometimes it'll pay off. Sometimes it won't. But I think we are certainly going to be energetic in our performances. And Hansi Flick after the game said these are 3 important points. He did admit not everything went well. He said the second half he thought was better than the first, in which he said there were many mistakes from Barça. Valencia took advantage of them. They went ahead, but he said the goal before the break was important in order to start the second half. And I think there, what we also have to bear in mind here, guys, looking at Flick's project, looking at the different style of football we're going to see, at the end of the day, things are going to take a bit of time. We're not going to see everything clicking together immediately. Obviously, we've had pre-season games here, but there's nothing like the real thing. Being thrust into competitive action, especially in difficult games like these, they're going to acclimatise this squad very, very quickly to what Hansi Flick is looking to do. But it is still going to take time for everybody to gel, to understand their roles, to sort out the midfield, for example. In transition, very, very important that we look how to nullify teams, to stop teams playing through us too easily. That's a really, really important note there that we have to look at. But I do believe it was a positive start from Flick. What I also do want to mention in today's video, guys, is the absolutely fantastic news, to be honest, regarding Alejandro Balde, because I, like many of you, I'm sure, were fearing the worst yesterday. First of all, he was struggling in the first half with the problem. He went down, he received some treatment there on the field, and then, of course, in the second half, he was taken off, and we all thought, please, not another injury, not this early in the season. We don't deserve this. But luckily he is all okay. It was just a knock. It was just a precaution, him coming off in that second half. So Balde is going to be fine, and we have to take good care of him. And I thought it was good to see him there back on the field, playing at left, that really important cross that he put in for the first goal. So good signs there from Balde early on. But I want to mention Marc Casado. Now, I know many of you guys were really impressed with him last night, and I think that's absolutely fantastic, because he's a player we saw playing really well in pre-season, showing really good signs. He's convinced Hansi Flick. Flick has been really impressed with him. And then to start the season like that, I thought he was all action yesterday. That's what you get with Marc Casado. He's box to box at times. He gets himself about the field. So much energy. He's the perfect kind of player for a Hansi Flick midfield. And it really could have been a perfect game from him, because he very nearly scored, coming under the ball into the box there, having a shot at goal, and it was only a last-ditch block that denied him scoring. What a game that could have been from him, because it was a really strong performance from Casado. But I think that midfield is going to be interesting, guys. Looking at the structuring of it, looking at the way that we indeed have to solve problems in that area. And like I say, we were without several players. One of those was Ilkay Gundogan. Now this brings us on here to a whole different side of what we're seeing at Barca right now. Because right, Gundogan was omitted from the squad at the very last minute, by the way. It was a real last minute thing. Nobody really saw it coming there. On the eve of the game, Gundogan apparently was suffering from headaches, was feeling a bit dizzy as well after training prior to the trip to Valencia, and that was why he was left out of the squad. He also trained individually today, which sort of backs up that is exactly how he was feeling. But when he was left out of the squad, we saw a lot of different reporting in the Catalan media. And I feel as though throughout the summer we started to see here a bit of a campaign against Ilkay Gundogan. You know, just a few reports here and there, a few things saying, well, you know, could he leave? Is he one of those who's going to be on his way out? He's in Turkey. Is he going to be leaving now? There's lots of things here just trying to put pressure on Gundogan to leave the club. And the feeling from Barca, apparently, is that they would like him to leave, is that they would be very much open to him leaving the club. And this is where, for me, we start to encounter problems. Because I'm not even talking here about Gundogan as a player. You know, Barca's feeling on him, their preference on him, whether they feel that he can contribute in midfield, whether they feel as though they can do better elsewhere. All of that is irrelevant in this particular instance for me. Because the problem in my mind is that Barca want to sell him to free up room on the wage bill, to help register players, maybe to help bring more in this summer, we don't know. But Barca's sole thinking here is that Gundogan, he's earning too much, we'd rather sell him this summer, and we're going to put pressure on him to leave the club. You know, we even heard yesterday that maybe Gundogan has asked to leave. You know, maybe it's him, maybe he wants out of the club because of what's going on. But this is the problem. Barca signed him 12 months ago. They gave him that contract, a 2-year deal. They knew what they were signing up to. It was a free transfer there, coming in from Man City, a high-profile player. Laporta and co. gave him the contract, the salary. And now 12 months on, we're talking about, oh, well, maybe we can get rid of him. Maybe we can shift him from the wage bill. It is ridiculous. What was the plan when you signed him? And this is the issue for me, because this is not an isolated situation. This is not a one-off here now at Barca. This happens every single summer. We will sign players. We will desperately be scrapping around, trying to register them, trying to pay in installments, trying to really do whatever we can to get around the restrictions. And then 1 year on, they're actually the player that we're trying to get to leave. They're the player that we're trying to put pressure on to get them out the club so we can get somebody new in. And the cycle repeats and repeats and repeats. Somebody like Rafinha is the perfect example of that. They paid huge money to bring him in, and then basically 1 year on, ever since then, it's been, well, can we sell him? Can we move him on now? After trying so desperately and beating several other clubs to his signature, Vitor Roque would even be another example there. Big money paid out. We convinced him to join over several other offers now, and yet we've never even given him a proper chance. But this is the other problem, because this is not a sentiment, guys, that is applied fairly right across the board at the club. That's my biggest issue here, because somebody then, like Ferran Torres, he's never mentioned. There has never ever been 1 ounce of pressure on him at this club. He was signed just like the others, big money, installments, we got him in. Why has there never been a rumour, never been any notion from the club that, you know what, you need to go, you're under pressure to go, you are not welcome at this club anymore? That's what I mean. It is not fairly applied. And it doesn't even end there, of course. There's plenty more examples that you could use over the years. Another one that comes to my attention right now, Marc-Andre ter Stegen, somebody who has become the captain of our club. And yet, no matter how many mistakes he may make, no matter how many goals are certainly there preventable, certainly there errors that you would not expect at a club who wants to be the best, who aims for the very top, there's again no pressure. There has never even been a feeling of, well, if you don't start performing, we're going to look elsewhere. We're going to go into the market. We're going to be looking at other goalkeepers. And it almost seems as though we're just going to wait around for these players forever. At some point, maybe they'll perform and we'll just see how it goes. And I'm just very confused. I'm honestly quite concerned about the way that decisions inside of the club, they're made these days. Certain players are targeted. Certain players there are put pressure on them them to go, but it does not apply to everyone. Because look, Barça at times in this market, what they do now is that they operate like a business. They try to capitalise on market opportunities to help with fair play. A great example of that, Franck Kessie, he was signed there on a free transfer, and yet then immediately sold on after 12 months at the club. Again, just for some quick profit there. A quick way to make a few million to help with FFP. No regard at all for the player. He chose us over several other options coming his way, and then 12 months later, we just cast him aside. Move him on. Let's move on to the next one. And the same thing happened with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, somebody who had an incredible impact at the club. He came in, had an immediate impact here, big fan favourite, and again, it was a case of, oh, well, actually, we want to save on his wages. We want to pick up a few million from Chelsea. Let's get him out of the door, move on. And this is yet another problem right now for me, because yes, you can operate like a business, you can try to generate money, every single club needs to do it. Barca are sort of attempting to do the same thing now with Mikhail Faye, bringing him in for cheap, selling him on for a few extra million euros. That's all good and well. But where's the footballing plan? Where actually are we sitting down and thinking, okay, we're not thinking like a business now though, we're thinking like a football club. Where is the actual footballing plan? Because look at what Chelsea are doing. They are stockpiling players, they are signing players like they're going out of fashion, and yeah, they may pick up profit, they may make money on several of these players that they bring in, they may hit the jackpot on some of them, but you look at matters on the field, it's chaos. It is an absolute disaster, horror show. We don't want to be going through this. We need a footballing plan. We are a football club. And right now on the field, guys, and behind the scenes at Barca, I am struggling to see what they're trying to do. I am struggling to understand the direction here of Joan Laporta, of Deco, who he brought in, who he handpicked there as the sporting director without any previous experience. It's not making sense to me. This summer has brought about massive, massive concerns, and a real lack of direction has been exposed at Barca. And indeed, guys, that has been brewing for quite some time. I have had these feelings now sort of waiting to emerge, and they just have there. You know, I know right now maybe it's not the right time to be mentioning all of this right now. Maybe I don't know if it's speaking out of turn, but just let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Can you understand maybe where I'm coming from? Can you understand some of the sentiments and feelings right now that I'm experiencing when it comes to Barca? Let me know those thoughts down below. I will see you soon indeed. Thank you for the great support. But until next time, as always, Vishka, El Barça.